G'day YouTube. So here's me shed. But we're not actually talking about sheds today. We're talking about shed wars though. So today's gardening tip will be, what are some of the first things you need to think about when you're starting your gardening or grow your own journey? G'day folks, Andy here from McDowell Manor. Now this is just what I reckon, what I think. One of the first things you really need to come to grips with is what trees do you want? So what are your perennials, your things that last for more than one season? Because a lot of those things actually take quite a while to get established and produce fruit. These trees that I'm showing you now, they're probably about 7 years old. And they're actually starting to produce a pretty good crop. Some things will produce from about 2 or 3 years, but other things, some you wait 5, some you wait 7. There's even trees you wait longer than that. So one of the important things is you get those perennials in fairly quick. That's a peach you're looking at there. You get them in fairly quick so they can start growing. And then that'll give you time to think about your annuals. So want to try and make sure you've got a good range of perennials. That way you'll get fruit across the year. So you're looking at a pomegranate there on the right, and on the left is a thing called a feijoa, or a pineapple guava. So that's what the fruit looks like there. I'll put my finger in the shot so you can see. They're not anywhere near properly developed yet. But yeah, so think about it. Think about your perennials actually do take a little bit of, let's sit down and plan it through. So you need to work out what kinds of fruits you like for a start, what does well in your yard, in your microclimate. So a bit of interwebs research will help you with that. What needs sun when, what can grow in the shade, work out where you're going to put them. And I tried to get them in relatively quickly so they could start their journey, and then that gave me time where I could just sit back and think about perennials. Don't be thinking just because you got a tiny yard you can't grow a lot of trees. You can see I keep a lot in pots and grow bags and all sorts of things. And they'll do quite well for quite a while. So don't let space put you off. The advantage of, I find, things like the grow bags is I can actually move the trees around if I need to. You will be amazed at the variety of dwarf trees you can get. That's a dwarf Cavendish banana, super dwarf in fact. And you can see it's growing in a pot. Now I know bananas, years ago I had them on this side of the yard, but they were pushing the fence over, which was no good. So those ones that originally were here got moved out the front, but this one now is in a pot where it can't do any harm. Now I don't want you thinking, oh God, look how much you got to plan, and so by the time I get to even thinking about the annuals, it's going to be, I'll need a permaculture degree. No, annuals are easy. If you bugger them up, it doesn't matter. You're only going to have them for a few weeks or months at the best, so they're easy. You can chuck them all over the place with gay abandon. But your fruit trees you do need to think about a bit, and like I say, try and do that early if you can, because that'll give you, oh look at that, I've got beans on. That'll give you plenty of time to get them established while you continue to play with the rest of your yard. And that is how I think about it. Like now that the trees are in, a few years later, I'm reaping the bounties, and I just play around amusing myself with no degrees in permaculture or anything else, having a whale of a time. And last tip, for big things like mango trees at the end there, macadamia nuts, I didn't have space for them in my yard. So I put them on the nature strip. Alright, so if you found these kind of tips helpful, tune into the Shed Wars channels, because there's a load of really good tips coming up, so that's great. And maybe even think about hitting the old subscribe button for this channel here, McDowell Manor, Tiny City Farm. Hit the bell icon and you'll get an email when I put new videos up. Alright folks, see ya. Hooroo!